Thank you. I'm an air quality scientist at Imperial College London, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Nutfield Conservation Society to oppose Gatwick's expansion on air quality grounds. Particles coming from airports are very small. Jet engines produce particles under 100 nanometers. They're called ultra-fine particles. These are so small that they can pass through the eyes. They're so small that they can get into your blood. They're so small that they can pass through your nose and into your brain. They cause cancers, strokes, diabetes, asthma, dementia, and heart disease. Ultrafine particles increase the risk of all-cause and cancer mortality. 10 million of these are found in every cubic centimetre that you find at the end of a runway. They spread to nearby towns and villages. Ultrafine particles, specifically produced at airports, were shown to reduce lung function and airway and increase airway inflammation in individuals with asthma. Already, aviation emissions are responsible for an estimated 24,000 early deaths globally every year. And an expansion of Gatwick is likely to increase that number of early deaths and worsen pre-existing health conditions, especially in the neighbouring town of Hawley. The cost to the NHS from air pollution is at least £1.6 billion from 2017 to 2025, and this does not even include the cost from ultrafine air pollution. Jet engines produce burn fuel at twice the rate when they're taking off or landing compared to when they're cruising. And around a quarter of all aviation fuel is burnt under 7 kilometres. Fuel burning at these low altitudes creates a toxic particle plume that reaches local residents living under flight paths and in nearby towns and villages. My colleagues at Imperial College London measured the particles at Gatwick's nearest town of Hawley, with a population of 27,000 people. They found that the particles coming from the airport were much smaller than those coming from other sources in the local area. Expanding the airport will increase the number of these ultrafine particles in Hawley and elsewhere, and this is likely to increase the health burden suffered by local residents, where children and the elderly suffer the greatest consequences. The World Health Organization in 2021 defines high particle number concentration of these ultrafine particles at 10,000 per cubic centimetre. Now remember that there are 10 million of these particles per cubic centimetre measured at the edge of a runway. This is over 1,000 times the WHO definition of a high level. In a town 7 kilometres away from Frankfurt Airport, the dominant source of ultrafine particles were from the airport. This shows ultrafine particles from airports can pollute nearby towns and villages up to and greater than 7 kilometres away. When when the limits of ultrafine particles are legislated for, and this will happen, it's not yet, but it will happen, Gatwick will have to run at a lower capacity than it is now. Any expansion will be a huge waste of money and resources. Gatwick's expansion will, as Sir David King said, become a stranded asset. Finally, nitrogen dioxide is a polluting gas from airports and the traffic that surrounds them. Nitrogen dioxide is significantly associated with the increased death rates and hospital admissions for respiratory disease. You may be aware that DEFRA identified the roads around Heathrow Airport as having the highest levels of NOx or NO2. Current measurements of Gatwick nitrogen dioxide are around 20 micrograms per cubic metre. This is below the UK limit of 40, but it's double the WHO of 10. An expansion of Gatwick would lead to increased aviation, car traffic, operations that push nitrogen dioxide above these UK limits. This would not be consistent with the duty of the Secretary of State for the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs to meet the limit values in England under the Air Quality Standards Regulation of 2010, and on planning The National Planning Policy Framework 2023 states planning decisions should contribute and enhance the natural and local environment by preventing new development from contributing to unacceptable levels of air pollution. My final point, we have the opportunity to prevent this expansion and to save lives.